as crazy as it sounds, my entire marketing program is based upon, you try and want to get people into your world.
Right.
And once again, not everyone's flavor, but at the end of the day, it's basically, I want them to say, I want to party with this guy personally and professionally.
Right.
And I want to do business with him. People like people who have a likability quotient, who seem genuine, who are relentless, they're hard workers, etc.
Right.
And I don't know if we talked about this, last time, but my I have 4 boys, but the 3 oldest are almost triplets, and I only taught them 4 words on how to conduct themselves in life as little kids, and that was be nice, work hard.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Zelnik Exchange, our rebranded name for Retail Redux. We are expanding our brand, we are expanding our guest list, and so we've renamed ourselves the Zelnik Exchange. Today I am fortunate to have my good friend Larry Haber, the Lease guru. Larry Haber is with us today. He is my first repeat customer, and there's a purpose for that. He is promoting a book. We're going to talk about that today. I think it's the first of many books to come from Mr. Haber. We'll hear more about that. So Larry, welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the intro.
Of course. I'm going to do a brief read of your bio so everybody knows you a little bit better. I think most people know you already.
From the back cover of the book.
From the back cover of the book.
Yes.
See that? The things you learn on the Zelnik Exchange. Larry Haber is a commercial lease guru, reformed yet long recovered developer, a retired CPA, podcast host, and the creator of an online commercial lease training and negotiating platform called Leasing Reality. Side note, all of my guys follow Larry and his Leasing Reality. When he wants to pay the bills, Larry manages the commercial real estate practice of a law firm with offices in both New York and California. Most importantly, Larry is the father of 4 amazing sons and married to the joy of his life. Enabling Moments, a negotiator's playlist, is a series of short stories conveying a vast array of life, business, and negotiating experiences designed to entertain and impart insight via mindsets that have played a starring role in achieving what Larry defines success primarily to be, that of happiness. Larry, welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it, my friend.
Oh, it's so great having you back. And so with this, I'm just going to go with why the book?
Why the book? You know what? Listen, it definitely was a COVID thing. No question about it. You're sitting around at the time when, using the line, it was the name of an album by Jerry Garcia, actually, called Reflections. Without getting into revisionist history, we all have, like back then, if you try to put yourself in the moment, it was a very reflective time. What's the world going to be like? Who can we believe? Who can't we believe? Is this going to be like, some of the movies that we saw, quarantine, etc., or are we going to get out of this?
Right.
And, so I was reflecting, and at the end of the day, I'm a storyteller. I specialize in many things, including making a short story longer.
Yes.
And, and I'm like, what, I got to put some of these stories down that I'm always telling people. And also, from the standpoint of, maybe a little self-help, because I had started I was ready when COVID came. I was doing webinars within a few days of it, and people were like, how are you ready? Well, I had been writing content after, not that I used to be somebody, but when I used to own a lot of real estate, right. And all of a sudden the Great Recession changed the calculus, I had to reinvent myself at 49. And I said, you know what? Let me sit there and start writing some of these stories.
You were a content creator before they knew what a content creator was.
Oh, back in the day, if you could put yourself in 2009, context-wise, LinkedIn and Twitter existed, but really nobody knew they did. Facebook was personal. YouTube was funny videos,
right.
And I created a YouTube channel. And I, kind of mocking myself, I was the landlord gone rogue, divulging and leasing trade secrets and other truths, rants and raves.
Sure.
And I did a 5-part series because it was apropos at the time, it was restructuring, modifications, and workouts. And I was very, let's say, transparent. Mm-hmm. And people were like, it was so out of the box, I didn't even think there was a box. And people were asking me at the time, are you smoking crack for breakfast? And I'd be like, no, I'm waiting till lunchtime. Are you committing career suicide? I'm like, I didn't know I had a career then. Right. 49, I given up all my clients, and and then they'd be like, oh, your advertising in the 70s were good to you. And I'm like, well, weren't they to everyone?
Right.
So yes, so I started doing it then, but you know, the bottom line is life evolves. And this book tells part of that story. Basically, I had to crawl from the wreckage, and bottom line is everybody can. The song ain't over is what it comes down to. No matter whether you're 19, you're 30, you're 40. I did it at 49.
No, that's great. I mean, and we all talk about that. You learn from your failures as probably more than you do from your successes. And you look at these things, and sometimes you got to get beat down. You got to get beat down to figure out what's right and what's next. And you're clearly a prime example of that.
Totally. It's like, listen, like back in the day, I didn't even drink coffee until I was 26, which was a crazy thing.
Right.
And I used to, like, one of the songs that was like my 10 songs, it was like a 2-minute ditty just to get me pumped and
right.
with coffee, was a song by The Clash.
Okay.
Great punk rock. It was called "I'm Not Down." It's like, I've been beat up, I've been thrown out, but I'm not down. And it's a song of to an extent recovery.
Right.
Whatever that recovery may be. So the book is somewhat that.
Yeah, that's great. And I know you're going to read something for us, and when you're comfortable, I look forward to hearing that. And I was presented with the book today, so I didn't have an advanced copy, and I look forward to reading it. And it's part of why I'm looking forward to reading it is because, one, we're great friends. We finally transacted after so many years.
Yes, and that was a fun deal.
And that was a fun deal. It was interesting. Had its curves, right? Had its curves, and we learned, right? We learned from our mistakes. We learned from market conditions. Yes. Certainly, it was great working with you, and I look forward to just being a part of the book and hearing your voice as I read it because I know you so well.
I have recorded the book also. I filmed it. So
did you? You filmed it, or you just already?
I filmed it, so it's going to be audio and video.
Oh my God!
I know it's going to be like I haven't done social media in like 4 years, and everyone's like been asking me where I am, and I'm like with this protection program.
Right.
Obviously not.
Right.
And and the shortest it's going to be they're like, when you coming back? Now they're going to be when you going away.
Right. Exactly.
6 months from now.
Why don't you do a hiatus?
So I apologize in advance.
You probably do a hiatus soon. Yeah. Good. So speaking of all of that, right? And we talk about this often in person and online. Social media. I know we stepped into it pretty strongly, Zelnik and Company. When COVID came, the word du jour for COVID was pivot.
Yes,
what was the move?
Exactly.
And Stephanie and I, Stephanie, our executive producer, who's here with us today, of course, we discussed what do we do next. And it was a little bit of it was stick the big toe in the water first about social media, little LinkedIn, little Instagram. And then it became more, and there was a build, and we got a following. And no, my last name is not Kardashian. I don't have 14 million followers or 40 million followers, whatever it is. But we're building within the industry, and we get great feedback. We get feedback online, and then I get interesting feedback from what we call the lurkers. Those that don't communicate with you online, but when you see them in the street, they say, "Hey, I saw your show."
Oh, really? Okay, as opposed to the haters.
Exactly.
Okay.
The lurkers, they're silent until you run into them.
And it's an art when you're doing it, because part of it is that, how do you be a giver and not a taker? Right. With posting on social media, the obvious is that, we're all promoting ourselves in some way. Mm-hmm. That's like the big dump. Okay, but at the end of the day, if you are, no offense to brokers who only put out their listings
or their deals,
okay,
or just their deal, done deal.
It's like that. Okay, yes, technically that's knowledge, but you're not. You're selling to an extent. You have to mix it up. I'm saying definitely do it, but mix it up with something called knowledge. Red Hot Chili Peppers have a song called "The Power of Equality." That's what knowledge is.
Right.
So you got to sit there and be. How do you give? How do you sell without selling? Is really what it comes down to, and that's the art, and you've gotten that.
Yeah, thank you.
So you make people feel good, and you have to decide what do you throw in as far as between business and pleasure.
Well, you want that. Well, that's the thing, is that you want to comfort the viewer with who you are and what you do.
Yes.
And entertain and educate at the same time.
Exactly, and you have to, for no better way of putting it, you need to fly that freak flag.
Yeah.
And listen, if you watch any of my videos, especially the ones on Insta, and you read the book, it's like I'm flying it very high.
Sure.
Grateful Dead song, wave that flag.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is you're not going to be everyone's flavor. Mm-hmm. And hopefully most people will like you. And listen, there'll be some of the haters, but I got to tell you something. Top of mind when I stopped doing social media, and I stopped posting better put. I have tons of content. Business definitely went down some.
Interesting.
There's no
That's
question. There's no question about it. So one of the things that I wrote about during COVID, and I call these sound checks in the book, and some of you may have seen the sound checks on Insta over the years, because I did roughly about 100 videos in 100 days.
Okay.
And probably a third of them were short stories that are in the book. I just didn't tell anyone that they were short stories for the book. And I was just testing it out and just seeing how crazy people thought I was and how much business would come in. But the sound checks is where I riff on a particular artist, either on something that is truly real estate, truly business, or we'll call it self-help. Okay. So one of the things that I riffed on is Eminem. Okay, I'm going to read you that story.
Okay, please.
Okay,
please, let's hear what Eminem has to say.
And it's all about how do I say this? Stepping up to the mic, so to speak. Okay, so we're going to call this one is time for a sound check. Eminem, social media presence, and how to lose yourself in success. So with a little help from the titles of 50 songs sung by Eminem, when it's curtains up time for my first single as you go searching for how to establish a solid business social media presence as a stepping stone to stepping onto the scene, hoping for some front page stardom and a chance to advance. It's hard to be not afraid or easy to know when to stand up to the open mic that is Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. There are few performers who prefer to follow a superstar as they are a hard act to follow. But sometimes you need to take drastic measures and embrace a turn me loose, no one's ill, you gone learn from me, guts over fear mantra. Quite simply, things ain't the same as the world turns post-pandemic. So instead of going about life with the doing-yourself no favors as the doom surrounds with gloom, I'm going nowhere fast mindset, because that's discombobulated in your head and dead wrong. It very well is time to spend some time flying your freak flag with a newfound revelation that there's nothing to do but I will succeed mantra. So what's the bottom line here? With that knowledge in hand in mind, as long as you avoid coming off with a love the way you lie vibe to the audience, more often than not, the perception will be that of your words are weapons to make things so much better for your newly gained followers and friends. Whether or not your message is conveyed with this is a who I am approach, projecting a this is right for me, I want to chill with this dude kind of vibe, or more along the lines of freestyle, stir crazy, not too twisted and off the wall, or even if imparted with a book of rhymes, as long as you are willing to lose yourself and believe in your message, I have a premonition that maybe, just maybe, phenomenal success and an enduring legacy is never too far away for you, and that your new audience will remember the name and leave you with an encore's curtains down of no regrets, stronger than I was, warm and lucky feeling. Lucky you.
No, that's great. It really sums it up. I personally, and I know Eminem is in the Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I didn't know he had 50 songs, but that's besides the point.
Way more. This was tough.
I know, but within the context of that whole thing, it's what we have found. One, you need to be genuine. You need to impart wisdom, let's call it, someone like myself who's been around, educate, as we said earlier, but you create a personal and warm vibe which allows for the prospect, the potential prospect who's finding you, to get engaged with you in a warm form. It takes away the whole cold call thing goes to a degree out the window.
Exactly. Listen, as crazy as it sounds, my entire marketing program is based upon, you try and want to get people into your world.
Right.
And once again, not everyone's flavor, but at the end of the day, it's basically, I want them to say, I want to party with this guy personally and professionally, right? And I want to do business with them. People like people who have a likability quotient, who seem genuine, who are relentless, they're hard workers, etc.
Right.
And I don't know if we talked about this, last time, but my four boys, but the three oldest are almost triplets, and I only taught them 4 words on how to conduct themselves in life as little kids, and that was be nice, work hard.
Right.
And you do those 2 things, and you're portraying it on when we're doing this, okay? Because part of it is like, where's this guy finding the time to do it?
Right.
But you do those two things, be nice, work hard. The bottom line is life's going to be okay, but you put yourself in a position that life can be a hell of a lot better than that.
Absolutely. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit to some of the things that we wanted to talk about today. And you and I are talking offline, and you wanted to discuss how you relate to how you work with your clients in choosing a broker, and what the steps you would guide them towards in terms of making that choice. So tell me about that.
I'm going to read another story.
Of course,
but the bottom line is, it's and I was just telling one of your associates out there about commercial lease, and
Right.
I was on the landlord side for a very long time, as you know, but and I represent both these days, and more tenants than landlords. And I look at the commercial lease as arguably one of the most one-sided documents in the free world.
First draft ever.
Okay,
Ever.
it's pro-landlord. You're never going to level the playing field. But the bottom line is, this very pro-landlord document, 95% of it is business.
Right.
And what is anyone who's involved in a lease transaction? We're business people. So as I was telling, one of you young rising stars out there, it's like, you need to know the business of what the lease states. Do you want to, no offense to my legal brethren, entrust your destiny to an attorney? Okay, if you have a little bit of type A, no. You need to you're the glue. You need to ham and egg it. You need to back channel. If you don't know that, listen, it's great setting up a landlord and tenant together, but you can't be hanging out on your beach chair.
No, of course not.
Okay, waiting for the check. You need to be the glue.
Right, and to your point, almost everything, not all, but almost everything goes back to money in the lease. And
Yes.
makes it business.
Yes.
And so you have to, and so we talk about this, right? We've been doing this for a long time, and as I explained to them, as I explained to new tenants coming to the market just yesterday, in the course of a negotiation, I will say to them, I'm not a lawyer, but this is how you should look at
You
it.
stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Exactly.
And you have this newfound knowledge.
Exactly. The same thing. And again, all about the man. I'm not an architect, but. And so you get that. But some of that just comes with experience. And so the young rising stars, as you allude to them, they don't just throw everybody there. They should understand it a little bit and then bring in the correct professionals.
Exactly. I consider myself, this will sound like a non sequitur, but I consider myself to be a genius because I realize I am not.
Right.
And that is the most important thing. You need to know when to keep your mouth shut, when to not, extend. But what you need to do is, and I call this the ho, Dr. Evil, you complete me theory.
Okay.
Because I realized that we're all kind of too short of a full six-pack.
Uh-huh.
So like when I owned, I'm pretty good at property management and construction management, but when I had Frank and Mark, my director of construction and my director of property management by my side, I was formidable. I knew enough.
Right.
Okay, Santa Claus, the ho part of it,
Mhm.
it's nothing without the Elves and Mrs.
Right.
Claus. Minnie Me didn't, well, actually Dr. Evil didn't find true happiness until, of course, he met Minnie Me, and then, the You Complete Me part is the whole thing with Jerry Maguire. We did that heartfelt speech.
To Renee,
Yes.
behind the couch.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
had me at hello. You complete me. So the point is, to young or old professionals out there, realize what you don't know, and realize you should have so many brokers, attorneys, accountants on speed dial, contractors. Listen, the bottom line is, what do brokers do for me? They're a resource. I made myself a resource to them, and they're a source of referral. It's like, you can't call me. Okay, it's like, of course, there's no meter. It's like, but the thing is, you need to be able to have these people to, basically enhance your knowledge base.
Absolutely.
Oh, so choosing a broker.
Choosing a broker. Tell me about
Choosing a broker. So this one is, this came to me, and 70% of this book was written during, we'll call it COVID times. Okay.
The hazy days of COVID.
And I probably wrote 70% of it in about a 9-month stretch I was on, and then I just put it down for a few years for whatever reason. Okay, so this is called The Clash, Brokers, and Should I Stay or Should I Go? If you're looking for not just the Magnificent Seven, but 33 other Clash songs to use as a playlist when choosing a real estate broker to represent you when it's should I stay or should I go time, or if you're looking for space on Broadway or for a safe European home as London Calling plays in the background, when interviewing them, please make sure the broker will listen to what your needs are. Also make sure he, she, or they possess a play-to-win work ethic with the ability to convey the right profile of you while possessing a stand-by-me, complete control, cool under heat, do it now, and I'm not down, and I won't be overpowered by funk of the marketplace when time is tight, while also having a skill set to help prevent you from getting lost in the supermarket when it comes to all of the look-here real estate decisions to be made. Furthermore, whether you are among the movers and shakers now living in fame because one of your Boku Bucks career opportunities came through, or even if you're among the Class City rockers just starting out looking for the call-up of life, you want to know that the broker will be the difference for you, whether by securing a bit of stay-free rent if you're a tenant, or by conducting due diligence if a landlord, so you aren't driven straight to hell monetarily speaking by a long-time jerk of a tenant. Or if the realtor can refer you to a good lawyer when it's time to clamp down to help know your rights, or if the need to I fought the law arises, or to prevent there being a pressure drop on you and yours. In conclusion, if he or she or they do their job, then that commercial real estate broker or residential agent very well may be the equalizer and the leader you truly need when, deal-wise, lightning strikes and it's time with a Rudy can't-fail attitude to rock the Casbah.
Very nice. Very nice. I think that's, it's a fabulous quote, not really a quote, but a fabulous little ditty on the choosing the broker. And I think one of the things that comes up in the brokerage world, you've made your choice of broker, they're working with you, you're working on deal or deals or what have you, is the broker comfortable enough and secure enough in his position to let you know when it's time to walk away from a deal. We all know what it means to push to get a deal done, but one of the most important things, and I stress this with my guys because I always look at every deal as just another peg in the relationship building ladder.
Yes, exactly.
And telling them when to walk away. So how have you seen that, and how do you play that? Either direct to your client, direct through, or through the broker. Tell me about the game plan when it comes to killing a deal.
Listen, I pride myself on, my comments on the tenant side are definitely voluminous, there's no question about it, but at the same time, I don't ask for anything that as a landlord, I wouldn't at least discuss. Sure. If not negotiate, bend on, happy to say a compromise, whatever. Okay, but at the end of the day, you sit there and, one of the things I say is, some of the best deals I've ever done in my career are the deals I haven't. That's right. Okay, and there are deals that I recommended my client walk, and they did okay, and there's a lot where, you never say I told you so.
Of course.
So, you need to be the voice of reason, because listen, part of all this is, what do we do for a living? We're consultants, we're consigliaries, we're advisors. Basically, I spend it during COVID times, or all the cycles that I've seen since the Resolution Trust days in the late 80s, early 90s. You learn that it's all about you can't be Sonny Corleone from The Godfather. It ain't personal. It's strictly business.
It's gotta be Tom Hagen.
I got to be the bald Tom Hagen. I got to be the better looking Al Pacino. Michael Corleone. Right. And it's very tough to control your client's emotions. Sure. Because you're sitting here, because I get over the years. So Larry, what would you do? I get it way too often.
Yeah.
And I have a canned reply, and it's something along the lines of, let me ask you something. Do you go to Vegas or Atlantic City? And if you do you go to the dollar slot machine or the craps table or $200 minimum, blackjack? So what wakes you up at 2 a.m. other than to, pardon the expression, pee? Meaning, what worries you in the middle of the night? What's your threshold for risk? What's your threshold for pain? And then when I know all that, I can give you a better answer.
Right.
So it's like it's once again, you're trying to deal with the client's emotions.
Sure.
And I, so I'm going to read one last story.
Please. Go
Okay.
ahead.
And this is about a deal that I did, and I'm going to channel Bruno Mars for you.
All right.
This is more of a story than a sound check, but Bruno's my sidekick.
Okay.
In addition to Stephanie Jarrett, who's editing, and Corey, of course. So and this went on. Too long. And this is called "Leave the Door Open." So in the early summer of 2017, by way of a building owner who I secured as a client from a YouTube video I had posted about good guy guarantees roughly 5 years earlier, I started negotiating a lease for a large building in Harlem, single tenant. The prospective tenant felt, with a bit of inspiration from 20 songs by Bruno Mars apparently, and despite the property's uptown funk, given its then existing use, that he could add his brand of finesse to it so that when the conversion was all said and done, after having tossed a grenade or 10 to the space, along with quite a bit of 24-karat magic, his underwriting of the deal would result in it will rain a boatload of treasure for him, monetarily speaking. By the spring of 18, the lease negotiations morphed into a purchase, and by that fall, a contract was signed. Unfortunately, due to runaway baby construction costs and or chunky underwriting quite possibly being the voices in my head culprit to the buyer during the due diligence period, no matter how much of a that's what I like love he had for the property, without burning a bridge, the contract was terminated and the deal died a semi-painful death after a few extensions expired in early 2019. With no escape from, but due props to Bruno's playlist etched in my mind, nobody ever truly knows what those on the other side of the table are thinking. Because if I knew the straight up and down of what was going on in the head of an opposing party, chances are I wouldn't be here talking to the moon or to you for that matter. But I do know this, the buyer's favorite Bruno tune was apparently not the Lazy Song, but more likely Too Good to Say Goodbye, as during the winter months of 2019, he found a way to relentlessly rework the project's underwriting. The old contract was dusted off and tweaked, and the deal put on, courtesy of Silk Sonic, which was then Bruno's new gig with rapper Anderson .Paak, blast-off mode. Although it took roughly 6 contract amendments and a bit of pain for all parties over the ensuing 2.5 years, a sweet thing occurred in late February of 22 that made it easy for all involved to put on a smile, and we finally closed title. So 2 bottom lines that come out of that. There are many lessons I learned from this transaction, with one being that if you dig deep inside, you may or may not surprise yourself when you see how all the knowledge you've acquired over all the years can truly make a difference when trying to revitalize and finalize a transaction. The other bottom line, which hopefully is obvious by now, the one that stands out, though, with kudos out to Bruno and Anderson once more, is quite simply this. Whenever and wherever feasible, try your best to leave the door open.
Very good. Very good. You know, and it's a tremendous story in there. Resiliency, continuity, right? Talking to people over periods of time. We've all been, if you're in this business long enough, you have those deals that just seemingly go on forever with fits and stops along the way, and then picking them up. And we often say some of the best deals that we've been involved with died 3 times before they ever got done.
And there were times, and during this one, you leave the door open, there were times where you just wanted to tell them, it's like, dude, you're taking advantage of our good nature.
Right.
Because there was, the client who owned it was a user.
Got it.
And they were, they were eventually going to get somewhere in the general range of their act. They just wanted, it was time to move on. And the thing is, so you have to control yourself as a professional, not to say, listen, you just got to, you and yours, you got to take it and go where the sun don't shine.
No,
and you have to be professional.
You have to always be professional.
Yeah.
But your story, if you will, beyond just the music, is your wonderful personality, your tremendous sarcasm, your sense of humor. And when you go through these bumps, and bruises in the course of a deal, and I'm, you're a little bit of a mentor for me in certain aspects of this business.
Like a father figure, like 2 or 3 years old.
I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to go that far. You're an older brother figure.
Yeah.
No, but and I utilize it sometimes. Picking the spot to use the humor.
Yes.
Can't be calculated. But how have you looked at using humor but in the heat of the moment, quite frankly? Because in the course of it's easy, but in the heat of the moment, when does the humor come in?
Yeah, listen. When there's there's times where it's like, everyone has their, I'll call it the Francis button, if you remember Stripes.
Sure.
The movie, Don't Call Me Francis, Psycho.
I kill you.
So like, mine will be, on that note, it'd be like, listen, I like Elvis Costello, love, peace, love, and understanding, but like your request for whatever you're asking for, it ain't happening anytime soon. And by the way, I have to date back with Planet Reality. That's me being, not so nice, but one story that happened during COVID, I was working on, a major deal where my client was the key to a major transaction in this building occurring.
And he's the landlord or the tenant?
And he was the tenant.
Okay.
And I had gotten word, because the brokers were back channeling, that, the owner had enough. And it was, my client was getting, was going to be doing well from this transaction. And that if my client, got under the landlord's skin, he was going to cut his nose to spite his face. So now we're COVID, we're on a Zoom, there's 8 people on the Zoom, so it's a scoreboard in front of you. And my client said something which pissed off the owner. And I saw like the little vein popping out, and I'm just, okay, this is the humor. Okay?
Right.
Getting to the point. Right. Okay. And I go, let me ask you something. I know this is a non sequitur, but does anyone think that Corey, that's only going to use the name of the attorney, looks exactly like Walter Becker from Steely Dan? Right. And one of the people goes, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden you see everyone with their iPhone underneath their table,
looking up who
looking who the hell is Walter Becker, and the owner put up a picture of his attorney right next to Walter Becker, and everyone's like, holy bull, and for 5, it's like, oh my God, like, Steely Dan, anyone ever see Steely Dan, blah, 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 blah. We talked for like 5, 6, 7 minutes, like, the vein was no longer, protruding out of the owner's neck. Deal got done.
Nice.
It was like I had to, because I knew what the other side was, and it was like, okay, I have to be the character that I am. Right. Okay, and humor.
Good. And I think, and it's important. That clearly was a tense situation, and not every situation is that tense, but sometimes you just got to lighten it up a little bit. Oh yeah, you just got to shake it up.
Yeah, this was.
Yeah,
this definitely was, but it was good. And I've seen the owner around. I said, by the way, you made the book. No names.
Very nice.
But okay.
All right, what page? So, as before we close out here, I found out, I didn't know it walking in, there are other books to follow. You want to give a soft plug for some of those before we close out and plug this one more time?
Well, one of them is the second book is my online educational platform, Leasing Reality.
That's business.
I'm sure. Yeah. It'll be more educational, not as fun.
Okay. So that's a textbook. That's
listen. The bottom line, a lot of it people have seen already, but I'm cleaning it up right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's for 26.
Okay, but you know what? It's funny you say that you're cleaning it up, and again, not to beat the drum too much. We've both been around a long time, and the reality is a lot of things just don't change. And so they reshape a drop, but the core of what certain things are in this business don't change.
Of course, you still, what you talked about before, adapting. You have to do the David Bowie, turn and face the stranger, which changes. But there's cleaning up that comes with it. Right. And then the other one is, which is going to be a 27 release.
Okay.
I'm just going to call it, the working title is Who Are You?
All right. Very good.
Which doesn't mean me.
I know. Look, I look forward to that. So, Steph will book him for 26. We'll book him for 27. We'll keep plugging. Larry, let's give one last plug to a Negotiators Playlist, Enabling Moments. Larry, it's so great to have you back with us.
Thank you.
I look forward to doing it as often as we can possibly do it, because you're just great, and I love you. I really do.
You do need to get out more.
That's all right. I like my limited, my limited box of people and friends, and you're in it, and I'm glad to have you in there. And I love having you here, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.